On this episode of Keep Rising with Kristy Kuhl, I am sharing what it really looked like to walk away from a 15-year career in the medical device industry, earning multiple six figures, and bet on myself. I shared all of my story for the first time at my Success Unleashed Summit, and I want to share it with you today. If this resonates with you, I'd love to hear from you. Enjoy. Today, I want to take you back to a very pivotal moment in my life. This is a moment when I made a choice that forever changed my path. And as promised, I'm going to share some things with you and parts of my story that I have not shared with anybody publicly yet. I didn't know it at this time, but this decision set me on a journey to truly unleash my full potential. It wasn't an easy decision. In fact, it was excruciatingly difficult. And I didn't have the answers. I had actually not even one part of the answer figured out. And Kristy Kuhl had no words to describe any of this. But what I did have was a sense, an ache really, that something in my life was off. Despite all these amazing things, something was off. I was leading sales teams in the medical device industry, and from the outside, I had it all. I had a great title, I had a big paycheck, I had the prestige that came with being a top leader in a very competitive space. Everybody wanted me. Within the same company, they wanted me on their team to come overhaul and get the same results that I'm getting over here. And on the outside, all the other companies were calling too. It should feel really good, right? I did, but I didn't feel great. On the inside, the only way I could describe it was I felt restless. There was friction. And I didn't know why. I thought the restlessness came from the high pressure environment, always having a big number and the demands of the job. And for years, I worked to become more efficient. I studied the sales cycles, the internal processes. I was always refining to get better, to get faster, and to stand out amongst my peers, both as an individual and also as a leader. Our team needed to stand out. And all of that was great because it birthed my time management system, the success blueprint. If you're VIP, you get that plus the recordings. So it's all not for naught. I also, during this time, to ease the restlessness, I did yoga. I learned breathing techniques. I even created a bedtime routine that I'm still committed to this day. All those things. They were all helpful. However, no matter what I did, I was so restless on the inside. I would compare myself to other women in the industry. I started benchmarking against them. Why? Not the numbers, I had that down, but why does this work for her? Why can she be happy in this environment? Why does she seem so at peace and I'm not? Why is she okay with that, but I'm not okay with that? The things that were happening inside the corporate infrastructure, this particular corporate infrastructure. Something must be wrong with me. I need to get better. I took vacations to decompress and when it became too much, and I even accepted positions at other companies because surely more responsibility and a pay raise was the answer, right? Fingers crossed, maybe this new company culture will be a better fit for me. Here's the thing that I know to be certain because I lived it. Wherever you go, you take you with you. And before long, there I was. Now, for me, my environment was part of it. And you're going to hear all the reasons why, but I didn't understand. I didn't realize why that environment was not right for me. The bigger reason why behind all of that was me. For things to get better, I thought to myself, I have to get better. Jim Rohn taught us that, and it's so true. I started to work on myself, personal development events. I was reading more books than I've ever read at any one specific time in my life, YouTube videos. That point in time, Brene Brown's The Power of Vulnerability just went viral. And man, did that, I think I'm probably responsible for part of those numbers because no matter what device, that thing was always rolling every time I needed it. Through it all, I did get better. The mechanics improved, but I still felt friction. I still felt restlessness. I was at a Tony Robbins event where he said something that landed. Now, This is like the third time that I was in Tony's rooms leading up to this one moment in time that I want to stop and talk to you about for a second. And I know every time I was in those rooms, he said the same thing, like, but that day, the student was ready. And you know what they say, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. What he said was, success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. And I knew right in that moment, like, this is the friction. This is the restlessness. What is fulfillment, Tony? Please tell me what I need to do, because this is the answer that I came here for. Now, embarrassingly enough, the word fulfillment was just not part of my world. I didn't even know what it meant. Pre-med undergrad, MBA, had one of the most prestigious jobs in the industry, no idea what fulfillment meant. We were instructed to write down a list of all the things that made us feel fulfilled. After putting my phone underneath the table and Googling the word, I now understand the assignment, but unfortunately, I'm staring at a blank piece of paper. For a long time, I have no idea what fulfillment means. No idea. For the first time ever, I am sitting there realizing that I don't even know who I am. I don't even know what makes me feel fulfilled. 30 minutes later, I proudly have my list. And I'm like, all right, Tony, tell me what to do with this. I now know what makes me feel fulfilled. And what Tony said was, you must find a way to spend a lot of time doing these activities outside of your work, or create a career, create a job, create a company that encompasses them. Otherwise, you will continue to feel the way you are feeling. Ever feel like somebody is talking right to you, although there's 500 other people in the room? That was me. Tony said, happiness and joy and peace exist here. And I knew he was right. All of a sudden I thought, oh my gosh, how in the world am I going to do this? Here's my list, guys. Let me tell you what my list said. What makes me feel fulfilled is being fully present in the moment, especially when I'm talking to somebody. I want to be right where my feet are, but especially when I'm having a conversation with somebody or I'm in somebody's presence. I want to be so present. I know exactly, without a doubt, what I'm supposed to do. What's my body language supposed to look like? What am I supposed to say? What am I not supposed to say right now? I want my antennas so tuned into that person that without a doubt, I know what I'm supposed to do to be their moment. How can I serve them right now? I want to be in nature. I love being in nature. It's where all the ideas come, the flow comes. I love to blow around like an autumn leaf, meaning not have a schedule. Now, a lot of you, if we work together, you see one side, you see the disciplined side. And the disciplined side to get my things done allows me to be that autumn leaf. And it's kind of funny because I will switch gears so fast that I don't even know where my phone is. I have to ask people to help me figure out where my phone is. When I was locked in for these 4 hours, I'm not locked in anymore. I'm blowing around like an autumn leaf and I'm fully present. I love that. Adding value to people's life. I love rescuing dogs. I love the cause. I love rehabilitating them. I love to win. I love to hustle. These are all the things that make me feel fulfilled. Now, I don't know about you. I'm somebody that when I see, I cannot unsee. And for the first time in my life, I see that this is the path I'm on and this is fulfillment. And no matter what I do, we're never going to do this. We're going to do this. For the first time ever, I am sharing the exact framework I use to unleash myself and step into my full potential. If you're a woman who knows you are meant for more, who knows there is more inside of you, who knows you are ready to go to the next level, but you just don't know how, I got you covered. Unleashed isn't just a program. It's a catalyst for your success and fulfillment. Together, we will walk through my proprietary system over 12 weeks. Click the link below to learn more. I knew this was the beginning of my journey to stop feeling this way. I realized I wasn't living my life. I was living somebody else's definition of success. If she's doing it and she's happy, well, I will too. Well, she has that. Well, I want it too. Well, somebody told me when I was a child, I should do this, or don't feel that, or don't do this, or whatever. I don't even know where this definition came from, but it wasn't mine. I probably thought it was mine at the time. I've never had a moment in my life that was so liberating and so exciting and so heavy. To realize that I created and designed a life purposely built that I don't want to show up for anymore. How in the world am I going to back out of this? What am I going to say? Like up until now, you have a question, I have an answer. How am I going to replace an income that's almost $500,000 a year? Rescuing dogs, being in nature, and being present with the person in front of me so I can be their moment and add value to their life. How in the world am I going to step into more of that and still have the pieces of my current life that I love? You know, money is a tool that makes you more of who you are. I'm not sacrificing that. I never will. If you're a good person, you're going to use that money to do more good things. And if you're a bad person, that's going to be leverage in the wrong direction. Now, if you followed me for any part of my journey, you know that my story ends well. But I have to stop and kind of chuckle here because at this moment in time, I didn't even know what a life coach was. I had no idea. I probably needed one. There was probably nobody who needed one more than me in that moment. I didn't even know what a life coach was. Look at me now. I knew what I did know. I knew I had to leave. I didn't have a roadmap. I didn't have a perfect plan. I didn't have any of that. All that I knew was that I couldn't continue to live a life that didn't feel like me. Something was off. No matter how good this looked and no matter how good some of those elements of my life were, something serious was off. I didn't have any of the words to describe the way I was feeling, no examples, no answers to anybody, just a feeling. So I left. I left corporate America and I bet on myself. And I want you to bet on yourself too. Having walked myself through this journey of unleashing and unleashing so many others, the good news is I do have the words now. I have the exercises. I have the path. I have the formula to walk other people through and figure out, why are you feeling restless? How do we get you to fully unleash? Now, one of the reasons why I was so restless was because I was around people that conflicted my core values. And when people say core values, I was just like, oh yeah, I got those figured out. I'd roll my eyes and I would just brush over it. It's a real thing, y'all. It is such a real thing. And you cannot be against your core values without feeling restlessness and friction too. The other reason I was feeling so restless was because I was showing up every single day as a very small piece of who I was. The achiever, the professional, the serious one, the great communicator, the presenter, the leader, the one that can have difficult conversations, the one that can make hard choices, the one that can be comfortable getting uncomfortable. And while all of those parts of me are real parts of me, they're not all of me. They're not even close to all of me. I wasn't showing all the sides of me. And I didn't realize how much that was affecting me. Nobody knew how much I loved meaningful conversations. I mean, shit, we had a number to hit and we are down to business, period, end of story. I wasn't showing the side of me that lets people know how much I love nature, that I love to be in a flowy dress, that I love to be in my feminine energy. The side that feels most alive when I'm helping others. I love to be the voice for the voiceless, the one adding value, the one easing frustration in others. Because I can see exactly why they're stuck. And I know exactly what to tell them to do to get them unstuck, to get them moving. Action. Let's keep going, y'all. We got to keep going. I wasn't showing the goofy side, the funny side, the off the grid, live in sweatpants, have no idea where my phone is part. I was emotionless on the outside. And even worse, I was emotionally constipated on the inside. I never let it out. It is by the grace of God that I don't have an autoimmune disorder. I believe this is where a lot of this stuff happens. And I don't know why. I don't know why. Maybe I don't, so that I can have the strength to help others that do. Maybe. Tell you a quick story here. I had new neighbors move in right before COVID. And because my house was always full of puppies, their little boys were at my house all the time playing with the puppies. And I got to know the parents, and gosh, we leaned on each other. It's COVID. What do? We had our little block community. And I'm noticing, I'm noticing how much the dad, the husband, loves to take care of his yard. I mean, he is so meticulous. He would get done working every day in his home office and he'd come out in his yard and I would see him scanning. And if he would see a weed, he'd take a picture of the weed, and he had an app, and he would look, and the app would tell him what concoction he needed to make to get this weed to go away. And then before you know it, I'd see him leave in his truck off to the hardware store to get all the whatever he needed to make the concoction. And he's home and he's mixing it up and he's taking care of that weed. And it just occurred to me that wouldn't it be really funny to plant fake dandelions in his yard? And before, I even finished the thought, I see his wife outside and I share it with her, and she belly laughs like I've never seen before. And she's like, oh my gosh, we got to do this. So I ordered these dandelions off of Amazon, and I had it all planned out. I dressed myself in my ninja gear. I was black from head to toe. I had a stocking cap on. I'm sure everybody thought if you were to see this that I was going to go do something illegal. And I got up at 3:00 in the morning. I had the stocking cap on. It's the middle of summer now, or spring, but in North Carolina, we have summer days all the time. And I didn't want him to see my blonde hair if he woke up. And so I'm out at 3:00 in the morning and I plant all of these fake dandelions, and I get back to the sidewalk and I'm looking and I'm noticing that it looks like I made like a Excel spreadsheet grid, right? The Virgo in me. So I go back and I mess him up, and now I'm waiting for hours for him to get up and to realize this. His wife videotaped the whole thing. We had the best laugh of all time. Now, listen, do I do that all the time? No. Am I always a prankster? No. But I love to laugh. I love to have a good time when nobody's going to get upset or injured or hurt. I get that all these sides should not show up in all situations. I'm not going to prank somebody in the OR. But the truth of the matter was, I was afraid to show up as all of me, even in the appropriate scenarios. I was afraid because I was getting praised for one version of myself. Nobody has seen this side of me. I was afraid to show up and show all the sides of me, for the same reason that my clients are afraid to show up and show all the sides of them. Will I be enough? Will this be too much? Will I be accepted as her? And the answer is yes. I will be seen and accepted and loved and praised by the right people. And so will you. Show all of you, and it will attract all the right people. Otherwise, you're going to attract people that shouldn't be in your life, that you don't want to show up for, that it feels restless and friction, and you feel conflicted on the inside when you have to be around them and show only that one side of you, even if that is a piece of you. Let the right ones come in, I've learned, and be okay with letting the wrong ones fall off. And if that means you're losing followers on Instagram, don't give two shits about that. That's what's supposed to happen. What I'm trying to say is that I created a life that emphasized only one piece of me, and it simply wasn't enough anymore. I felt frustrated because people didn't know the true essence of who Kristy Kuhl was, all of me. But how could they? I'm only showing one side of me. My body was trying to tell me where all of these things were off to. Every single time. For years, I lived with this pain in my shoulder right here. I'd go to the chiropractor. I was getting that dry needling twice a month. I was getting massage therapy, 2 straight years of treatment. And then I left my job and poof, it was all gone like that. I ran into my physical therapist at church, and he said, where have you been? I've been thinking about you. And I said, well, I quit my job, Bill. He said, I knew it. I knew it. I knew the minute you left, and I have one other client, all your pain would go away. It would have been nice if you told me, Bill, right? Not that I would have probably listened at the time. We have to go through our own journey. But it's a thing. Now, that feeling in my shoulder comes back, and it comes back. It's a warning indicator, and you have them too. You may just not know. It comes back when I'm around somebody too much that conflicts my core values. When I feel like I have to do X in order to get Y, and you know what? X is just too far out of alignment with me. When I feel that, that's when I stop and I start scanning. I take inventory. What is this? What is going on? And I correct, I calibrate. I left corporate and I bet on myself, and I want you to too. I didn't have a roadmap. I didn't have a perfect plan. I didn't even have the first step. I mean, I guess that was the first step. But I had belief in myself, and I had one teeny tiny moment of courage. Now, if you're around me, if I've coached you one-on-one, or I've coached you in my women's group coaching program, you know that I gain leverage on myself and I make really big moves through these brief moments of courage. If I take the leap, man, I'm going to figure it out. Now, I'm giving you somewhat of a highlight reel, and I don't want to do that, but for the sake of time, and because I'm so far on the other side of it, it is a highlight reel. But you need to know that that was my most vulnerable time. I was filled with self-doubt. I let others get in my head. I reverted back to my old patterns time and time and time again. I did not play full out, but what I did do is I would get up every day and I would try and I would try and I would try again. That figuring out season has got to be one of the most uncomfortable seasons of all for me. It's awful, if I'm honest, but it's necessary. Not having the answers, realizing that you're going to have to probably try a few things on. Where you start most oftentimes, is not where you land. I'm here to tell you the truth. And once you know what's going to happen, now you can settle in. Now you know the journey that you are on. And let me tell you, it is so freaking worth it. It's easy to see the movie in reverse. And I'm so thankful that I went through that path. And thankfully for you, I have done it and I can break it down, and I teach all of this to anybody else who's feeling it. I have a 12-week group coaching program for women called Unleashed. The next one we start on February 10th. And it's so hard for me. It was so hard to decide, like, what part of all of that, the 12 weeks, am I going to start and share with you? There's so many pieces of unleashing. But I believe that this piece, this story, what I've shared with you so far, and the exercises that I'm going to walk you through, is such a pivotal part. And it really is the key for me to unleash. And I think it will be for you too. Ben Newman, you heard him kick off day one. Now, he taught me the value of standards over feelings. He taught me the importance of even knowing your standards. Do you know your standards? And do you, like, what a great system to have if this is for me or if this is not for me. Oh no, it goes against my standards. Boom, period. End of story. Now, Ben has seen all sides of me. He knows that I care deeply. He knows that I'm intentional. He knows I'm genuine, that I'm a go-getter. If somebody violates my standards, though, we're going to have a problem. I can be all things, and so can you. I can be nice and loving and caring, and I can also have boundaries and standards. I was at Renee Rodriguez's workshop a couple of months ago, and I received the same compliment from at least 5 people. We were practicing our speaking and our messaging in front of the room, one by one. And the compliment that I continued to get was, man, I've never seen somebody bounce between masculine and feminine energy in the same conversation. You do it so effortlessly, Kristy. How do you do that? I've never seen that, but it's always in the right moment. You're going there when you need to. Y'all, I wasn't trying to do, it wasn't a conscious effort at all. You know what happened? I was me. I was unleashed. They saw me and they loved it. There is no freaking reason why I cannot elevate and I can't go and I can't prove a point, or I can't go into driver mode, or I can't be disciplined, or I can't have the hard conversation and then come back to the other parts. I'm just me. I'm not thinking about this stuff. And I want that for you. I want you to fully unleash and to be yourself. That's what we're going to work on next. Now, the third piece is curating your circle. I know Ben Newman talked about this on day one. Deciding who's going to go on this journey with you, which means you're going to piss a lot of people off. People are going to get their feelings hurt. They're going to make you feel bad. If you're a people pleaser, This piece is going to take some work, but I believe in you. You have to do this. Ben talked about figuring out who those people are, figuring out who goes through those gates with him every day, and then he locks it down. Nobody else gets through. Huge, huge, huge secret to the highest performers. And I encourage you to do that. Who are the people in your life? Ask yourself this question. When you feel the most confident, who's around you? Who are those people? Who are lifting you up? Who are they? When I started spending time with people that actually saw my potential, everything shifted. All it takes is one person to see your worth. If you find that person, keep them close. Whose presence pushes you? Every single speaker is one of my friends. Every one of them pushes me. They'll call me out too. I love it. But when I first left corporate America, I didn't have any of those people in my life. It was an incredibly lonely time. And at a time that I shouldn't have isolated, I did, because I didn't have the right people around me. But what I did do was I went to books. I went to YouTube. I had good information, good people in my head all the time. Now do the same exercise, but opposite. Who are you around when you feel the least confident? What would life be like if you spent less time around them? Be open to receiving new information. And I know you are, because you're here. You have got to continuously, and I learned this from Bradley, you have to continuously infuse yourself with new information. It's new perspectives. You get to make different decisions. You can't get from where you are to where you're trying to go with old information, making the same decisions. So find what works for you. Find the people, the voices, and the method. Maybe you don't like going to live events. Maybe it's virtual. Maybe you don't like virtual. You like live events. What are you going to do in the meantime? Who are you listening to? What books? What podcasts? This will keep your energy high too. And notice when your energy's high and leverage that. That's called leveraging your physiology. And I talked about that in the beginning of all of this when I kick things off. I want you to hit pause and leverage the moment that you feel courageous, and the moment that you get the idea and you go, bam, I should do that. If you wait 10 minutes, it's probably going to be gone. Chances are it's going to be gone. I have had a chicken list my entire career, and I still have a chicken list. You know what? There's moves that I need to make, the bold moves that if I get in my head or I'm having a low energy day, there's no way in hell I'm going to make those moves. But that chicken list rides shotgun on the front seat of my car. And when I get done with my workout, that's when I'm the most confident. That's when my energy's high. That's when I reach out to my chicken list. It's not uncommon for me to be sitting in the parking lot, leaving voice messages or sending text messages. Okay. Notice when your energy is the highest and use that for these things that are tough for you. Last thing I will leave you with is this. The moment that I took full responsibility for my life is when everything changed, right? You don't have to have it all figured out. If you're like me, it may frustrate the hell out of you to not have it all figured out. It's okay. It's all right. It just means you're an achiever and a driver, and you're used to having it all figured out. You're not there yet. You don't have it figured out yet. Your plane has not landed. Start with one step. Live congruently, build habits that serve you, and design an environment that supports your growth. And when you commit to these steps, you'll discover the version of yourself that is powerful, that is focused, and that is unstoppable. You'll unleash the person you were always meant to be. And you know you're not there yet. The world is waiting for you to show up fully. Question is, are you ready?